Heads up, eyes open. Know what's around you. Lead it safe, lead it smart. That's what leaders do before it hits the numbers. Before somebody pays, you are listening to just a girl talking trash. Safety starts today.
Welcome back to Just a Girl Talking Trash. I am your host, Tomilynn, and today I want to start with one simple question. If I said TRIR, would you know what I'm talking about? Not would you recognize the letters, not have you heard someone say it in a safety meeting, not have you seen it on a PowerPoint presentation. I am actually asking, do you understand what it means? Because if you're a supervisor, if you're a manager, if you're responsible for frontline employees or you're trying to move into leadership, this is something that you need to understand. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's why we're having this conversation. Nobody walked into their first supervisor position automatically knowing OSHA terminology, record keeping requirements, incident rates, DART rates, leading indicators, lagging indicators, and every other acronym somebody decided to throw into a management meeting. Someone has to teach you. So today, that's exactly what we are going to do. We're going to talk about TRIR, what it is, how it is calculated, what makes an injury or illness recordable, why that number matters, and most importantly, what you, as a leader, are supposed to do with that information. Because knowing what TRIR stands for and actually understanding what TRIR tells you are two completely different things. So I'm going to start with the basics. TRIR stands for Total Recordable Incident Rate. You may also hear OSHA materials refer to the total case rate or total recordable case rate. The purpose of the rate is to give your organizations a standardized way of looking at occupational injury and illness experience relative to the number of employee hours worked. Okay. OSHA's incident rate calculation uses the number of recordable cases, multiplies that number by 200,000, and divides it by the total employee hours worked. So the formula looks like this: number of OSHA recordable cases times 200,000 plus, or I'm sorry, divide total employee hours worked. And immediately, somebody listening is probably asking, why 200,000? Because that number represents the equivalent of 100 full time employees working 40 hours per week for 50 weeks in a year. That's important because companies are different sizes. One company might have 50 employees, another may have 500, another may have 5,000, some may have 40,000. But simply saying we had 4 injuries this year doesn't tell you enough by itself. 4 recordable cases in an organization with 50 people looks very different from 4 recordable cases in an organization with thousands of employees. So the rate helps normalize that information so safety performance can be compared on a common basis. OSHA specifically notes that incidence rates can help compare industries, companies, or different operations within the same company that can help identify problem areas and progress. Okay. Now, let me make this practical. Let's say your organization had 4 OSHA recordable cases and employees worked 250,000 total hours. We're going to take 4 times 200,000. That gives us 800,000. Then we're going to divide that by 250,000 hours of work. Your TRIR would be 3.2. That's it. The math itself isn't complicated, but understanding what goes into that number, that's where leadership needs to pay attention. So, what exactly is a recordable, right? This is where I think supervisors sometimes get confused. An employee gets hurt and someone immediately says, that's a recordable. No, not necessarily. Or somebody says, they went to the doctor, so now it's automatically a recordable. Again, not necessarily. OSHA has specific record keeping criteria, right? They have specific things that are deemed recordable. So generally, when a work related injury or illness results in such things as death, days away from work, restricted work, or transferred to another job, medical treatment beyond first aid, or loss of consciousness, it meets OSHA's general record recording criteria. So that now becomes a recordable incident. Certain significant injuries or illnesses diagnosed by a physician or other licensed healthcare professional can also be recordable. And I want supervisors to hear very clearly what I'm saying. Your job is not to diagnose employees. Your job is not to manipulate medical treatment. Your job is not to decide, we don't want this to become a recordable incident. And your job is definitely not to discourage somebody from reporting an injury because you are worried about a number. That is not safety leadership. Your organization should have people responsible for making official OSHA record keeping determinations based on the facts and the applicable requirements. But as a frontline leader, you absolutely should understand the basics because you're often one of the first people involved when something happens. You're gathering information, you're talking to the employee, you're securing the area, you're documenting what occurred, you're communicating with safety, you're helping determine immediate corrective action, and the quality of what happens in those first few minutes matters greatly. So let's talk about first aid versus medical treatment. Here's another area where supervisors need some basic understanding. Not every injury requiring attention automatically becomes an OSHA recordable case, okay? OSHA distinguishes between first aid and medical treatment beyond first aid. And medical treatment beyond first aid is one of the general criterias that can make a work related case recordable. And I'm intentionally not going to turn this episode into a 30-minute lesson on every first aid example OSHA recognizes, okay? We'll save that for training. But I want you thinking differently when injury occurs instead of worrying, is this going to hurt our numbers? Start asking, is the employee okay? Have they received the appropriate care? What happened? Is the hazard still present? Could somebody else get hurt? What needs to happen immediately? Those are the questions leaders should be asking. We'll figure out the record keeping. Protect the person first. Now, let's connect this back to part one. In the last episode, we discussed situational awareness, and I told you TRIR is a lagging indicator, meaning the number is telling you about events that have already occurred. The employees has already been injured. The case has already happened. And that's why I don't want supervisors becoming obsessed with TRIR while ignoring everything happening prior to TRIR. Think about it. Before the recordable injury, was there a near miss? Was somebody taking shortcuts? Had a supervisor already seen that behavior before and failed to correct it? Was the equipment damaged? Was there poor housekeeping? Had employees complained about the hazard? Was there inadequate training? Was somebody rushing? Were they tired? Was the procedure unrealistic? Was the supervisor actually present in the operation? Had this happened before and everybody simply got lucky? Because if we do all this questioning and all we do is sit in meetings and talk about this and ask these questions and don't do anything about it, your TRIR is going to increase. Those are the questions that should interest you as a leader. Because once a TRIR number hits, the incident already happened. The person was already hurt. I want to know what we missed before the number changed. Again, a low TRIR number does not automatically mean you have a great safety culture. It just means you haven't got caught yet. You've been lucky. Luck will run out. And I touched on this in the last episode, but I want to go deeper here about the safety culture and how it drives the TRIR number. Let's say your TRIR is low. Fantastic. That's something that you want. But now I want to ask some uncomfortable questions. Are your employees reporting injuries? Are they reporting near misses? Do employees trust management enough to speak up? When someone reports a hazard, do you actually fix it? Are supervisors documenting what they see? Are you investigating close calls? Are employees being coached? Are pre-trip and post-trip inspections actually being completed, or are people just pencil whipping them? Are your safety meetings meaningful? Do they have your frontline engaged when you're giving a safety meeting? Or are they just waiting for it to end? Are we just signing a sheet, eating a donut, a slice of pizza, and going back to doing exactly what we've always done? Because numbers require context. You can have a good number and still have dangerous behaviors happening underneath of it. And eventually, if you allow unsafe behaviors to continue long enough, probability tends to catch up with you. That's why we cannot manage safety exclusively through lagging indicators. You have to pay attention to what is happening upstream. Observations, near misses, hazard identifications, corrective action, training, coaching, equipment inspections, employee engagement. Employee engagement is big. The frontline team always knows before the managers do. Ask them, they'll tell you. Are your supervisors present in the field? Those are activities that can help identify and control risk before somebody becomes part of the injury statistic. So, why should a supervisor care about TRIR? This is probably the most important section of today's episode, okay? Because somebody listening might be thinking, okay, Tomilynn, I understand formula, but we have a safety manager. Why do I need to know this? Because you lead the people doing the work. That's why. A safety department can develop policies, they can conduct audits, they can provide training material, they can provide training, they can analyze data, they can help determine recordability, and they can create programs. But who is standing in front of those employees every single day? You are. Who watches the work? You do. Who sees somebody taking the shortcut? Who knows which employee is struggling? Who knows when production pressure is starting to influence behavior? I mean, if we're being realistic in the waste industry, right, these routes are designed to be 10-hour-a-day routes. That's minimum 50 hours a week. Is that too much on one of the guys or girls? Are they having a hard time keeping up? Do they have route familiarity? And you can sit there and say all day long, we've always done it this way. Well, who sees the damaged container? Who knows that the truck has been having the same problem all week? Who knows that employees have been working overtime and are exhausted? Who sees someone backing without getting out and looking? Who sees an employee climbing out of equipment improperly, not using 3 points of contact? Who hears the complaint nobody formally documented? The frontline supervisor. That means safety performance isn't just the safety department's responsibility. Your safety director, your safety manager, your safety representative, right? That's great. They have a lot of knowledge that you can use to help you, but they can't be everywhere all the time. But you are, because you are responsible for your frontline team. It belongs to operations too. You have to have the safety culture in place. You have to live and breathe safety, because I promise you, the frontline team is watching. They are watching every single thing that you do. Is it just do as I say, not as I do? No, because they are watching. Safety and operations cannot operate in two different worlds. Safety is operations. If your people cannot perform the work safely, then you do not have operational success. I don't care how many tons you've moved. I don't care how many routes you finished. I don't care whether someone clocked in and out on time all week. If we accomplish production by accepting uncontrolled risk, that is not success. But don't lead to the number. And this is where leadership can go wrong. An organization starts talking heavily about TRIR. Leadership wants the number lower. Managers feel the pressure. And then the supervisors feel the pressure. And suddenly somebody starts communicating safety like We can't have another recordable incident. I need you to be careful because your people may hear something completely different. They may hear management doesn't want us reporting injuries. They don't care if we get hurt. All they care about is their number. That is not the culture that you want. I want employees reporting early. I want to know about the near miss. I want to know about the soreness. I want to know about the equipment issues, the unsafe conditions. I want employees telling us what happened all the time because I cannot correct what people are afraid to tell me. The goal should never be make the number look better. The goal should be make the operation safer. And when you generally reduce hazards and prevent injuries, better safety performance can follow. That's completely different from chasing a metric. But you have to have them buy into your safety culture. And you have to live the safety culture first for them to see it. And you have to constantly implement it, constantly. It is day in and day out that we are implementing safety on a frontline team. And then you're going to have the accountability part. Now, here's the other side of this conversation. Creating a reporting culture does not mean removing accountability. These two things can exist together. I want you to report. Excuse me. I want honesty. I want transparency. But I also expect you to follow procedures. I expect you to use the equipment correctly. I expect you to wear required PPE. I expect you to stop when conditions change. I expect you to speak up when something isn't right. I expect supervisors to correct unsafe behavior. And I expect leaders to follow through because safety culture cannot become, well, accidents happen. No, sometimes things happen despite reasonable precautions. But sometimes incidents happen because we ignored the warning signs long ahead of us. They were there. They were like neon, bright lights, flashing warning signs that we ignored. Sometimes procedures weren't followed. Sometimes leadership knew about a hazard and didn't correct it. Sometimes training wasn't adequate, or an employee took a shortcut. Production became more important than safety. The route became more important than safety. The numbers became more important than safety. If we don't have the courage to talk about those things, we don't have a safety culture. We have a safety slogan, not a culture. If you're not allowing your employees to talk about those things, all you have is a safety slogan. You don't really care about safety. You just care that it's not recordable. You got to get out of that mindset. And what should you do with your TRIR? If you're a manager and somebody gives you the number, don't just look at it and move on. Ask questions. What kind of incidents are driving it? Are we seeing patterns? Are incidents happening on a particular shift, during a particular task? Is it with certain equipment? Is it on a certain route? Is it new employees, tenure employees? Is it backing, maintenance? Are these repeat causes? Is corrective action actually being completed? Are we seeing the same hazard appear again after supposedly correcting it? What are we learning? Because if 3 people get hurt in 3 similar ways and every investigation produces basically the same corrective action, we're not learning, we're just documenting. There is a difference. The purpose of data isn't to fill a spreadsheet. The purpose of data is to help you make better decisions. OSHA itself describes injury and illness data as useful for identifying unsafe conditions and workplace hazards so organizations can work to control or prevent them. That's what I want leaders doing. Use the number, but then go underneath the number and root cause the problem. Let me give you something to remember. TRIR tells me what happened. Situational awareness helps me see what could happen. Leadership determines what we're going to do about it. That's the connection between these two episodes. And that's why I started with situational awareness before I gave you the formula for the TRIR. Because I never want you sitting in your office thinking, my TRIR is great. So, hey, we're safe. Go look. Go talk to your people. Go observe the work. Go find out. Because some of the most valuable safety information in your organization will never be found on a spreadsheet. It's standing out on the tipping floor. It is out driving a route. It's out operating a loader. It's turning a wrench. It's working your scale house. It's maintaining the truck. It is your people. You need to listen to them. And for my aspiring leaders, I want to speak directly to you for a minute. If you're trying to move into supervision, if you're interviewing for manager positions, if you're hungry for more responsibility, learn this stuff. Don't wait until someone gives you the title. Learn the language of the business. If somebody says TRIR in a meeting, know what they are talking about. If someone talks about recordables, understand the basics. If someone asks you how you would improve safety performance, don't give them, I'll tell everybody to be careful. That's not a strategy. Talk about coaching. Talk about near miss reporting. Talk about hazard correction, training, accountability, employee engagement, following corrective actions through to completion. Talk about being present in the operation. That's how you start thinking like a leader before you ever receive the title. So here's your challenge. The next time someone puts a TRIR number in front of you, or even go up there today to your manager and say, hey, do you mind sharing the TRIR number with me? Because they will. They'll tell you what it is. Don't just ask, is that good or bad? Ask, what is behind that number? Like, what happened? What trends are we seeing? What can we learn? What could we have done to prevent it? What are we doing to change it? And what are we doing today so that tomorrow's number looks different for the right reasons? Because behind every one of those recordable cases is a person. And I'm going to keep saying that, a person, not a statistic, not a dashboard, not a KPI. It is a person. Someone was injured. Someone came to work expecting to go home the same way they arrived, and they did not. Our responsibility as leaders is to create conditions where they have the best possible chance to do exactly that. So, yes, know your TRIR, okay? Understand the formula, understand what is recordable, understanding the data, know your numbers, but never become so focused on a number that you forget why the number exists. We aren't protecting TRIR. We are protecting people. And when we protect people, we identify hazards, we coach consistently, we correct unsafe conditions. When employees trust us enough to speak up, when supervisors are present, leaders hold themselves accountable. That is how you build safety culture. You're not going to build it with some poster or a slogan or a safety meeting. It is with what you do every single day. Are you being safe yourself every single day? Are you coaching them consistently? Are you correcting these unsafe conditions? Then you're building a safety culture. This is just a girl talking trash again. I am Tomilynn. I thank you for joining me. And remember, safety is a non negotiable. Know your numbers, know your operation, know your people, and most importantly, lead before the number tells you that you didn't. I'll talk to you next time.